Welcome to channel Qtomation. In previous session, we have seen how to create a local repo, how to link that local repo to remote repo, and how to push the changes. In today's session, we will see about setting upstream and what exactly is -u option while setting the upstream. So first, let's understand what does upstream mean. So in Git, -u option or --set -upstream, these are basically same commands, and this option is used to set the upstream branch for your local branch. That means linking your local branch to a remote branch so that you can easily perform commands like git pull, git push without specifying the remote branch name each time. So in last session we have seen when we have to push the changes or pull the changes, we have to use remote name and branch name, branch URL. But once you set the upstream, that means once you inform your local repo that this is your remote repository which you have to synchronize every time by setting upstream, then after that we don't have to use remote name and URL every time with git pull and git push command. So we can directly use git pull and git push without specifying the remote and branch name every time. So upstream branch is the branch in the remote repo that your local branch will always track. And whenever we run the command like git pull or git push, Git knows which remote repo branch to synchronize with. So that is the main benefit of using upstream. And when do you use the -u option? We can either use -u or --set -upstream. Both are having the same meaning. So whenever we are typically creating or pushing a local branch to a remote branch for the first time, we can directly set the upstream option. What is the syntax? So whenever we are pushing the first time, for example, let's say git push -u remote name and branch name, where remote name is usually we give it as a origin, but it can be any remote repo name, and branch name is the name of the branch you want to push. So once you provide this command, next time you want to push or pull the changes from that remote repo, we can simply use only git push or git pull without specifying remote name and branch name. So let me show you one example. So let's create a new repository in GitHub account. So in GitHub account, I am creating a new project. Let's say my project underscore Z. So I am creating my project underscore Z. Let's create this repository. After creating this repository, if you see, we are going to follow this step because we are going to create existing repository also. So let's go to my project folder. This is one my project underscore Z folder which I have created in my system. Inside this folder, now let's create a new text file. I am creating one new text file, let's say abcd.txt. Let's add some content. For example, apple and mango is the content. Just imagine it is some project code which we have written in our text file. Then we have to, I'm just using clear command. Yeah, so now we have to initialize empty git local repo by using git init command. Then we have to add those changes to staging area, and we have to perform the commit operation. So just imagine this is our first commit, and we have committed our some code changes in our project. And currently we are on which branch? Master branch. By default, we are on master branch of local repository. Now let's say we have committed those changes. Now What is the next step we follow? So we have remote repository, and we want to link our local repository to remote repository. So first step is we have to add remote for that remote repo by using this syntax. We have already seen this in our previous session. So first we have to follow this command, git remote add origin, or any name you can give here to remote, and the URL of this remote repository. So I am just copying this command, and let's execute this command in our git bash. So I am just executing this command, git remote add origin and the repository URL, remote repo URL which we have to provide here. So I am just executing this command. So now we have added and linked our local repo to this remote repo. So now if you see git remote, what is the name of the remote? Origin. What is the next command means is git branch -m main. What does this command do? It is basically renaming our master branch. It is basically renaming the master branch. So what I will do, I will just use this command as well, git branch. Currently it is showing the name as master branch. It is optional guys, it is totally depend on us. So I am just using this command to make you understand. -m main. So now this master branch name will change to main branch. If you see now, it is showing you main branch now. Even if you use git branch command, it will show you the name of your local repository branch as main branch. So we have only one single branch currently, which is main branch. Now the next command, git push -u origin main. In last session we have not used -u option, but I will show you. Once you use this option, git push -u, we are setting the upstream. Just we have to provide the name of remote and the branch which we want to push. So what it will do, it will create a new main branch in our GitHub repository as well. So as soon as I executed this command, it will create the upstream as well as it will create this main branch in GitHub repo. So now it has pushed our changes, and if you see, main is mapped with our main repository in GitHub repository as well. So in local repository, branch name is main, and same branch is created in remote repository as well. So now if I refresh this page, our all local changes should be present in this project now. If you see, abcd.txt file is present in this project in GitHub repository. So this is the code which we have pushed in our remote repo. Now let's say I am making some new changes again. What I will do, I will go to this file. Let's say I am adding some new changes, orange. I am saving this file. Then we have to add these changes to staging area, and we have to commit those files to local repo. So what we have to do, we have to again use git add command to add those changes to staging area, and then we have to use git commit -m. This is our second commit now. Second commit. We have committed those changes to local repository. And now I want to push those changes again to remote repo. So now in remote repo, I don't have those changes yet. If you open the file in remote repository, it is showing only apple and mango. So I want to push those changes now. So now if I use git push, what syntax we have to use? Git push origin main. This we have already seen in our previous session. But what is the benefit of using upstream is, in previous command here, if you see, we have already created the upstream. That means we don't have to use again this main and origin in our command. Even you only use simply git push, then also it will get pushed to that specific remote repository which we have created. Because when we are setting the upstream, we are telling our local repository that this is the remote repo which we have to track for pushing the changes or pulling the changes. So now if I use git push command, then also the changes will be pushed to that remote repository in main branch. So it is currently now pushing the changes. So changes are pushed now. Changes are successfully pushed to remote repo without using remote name and without using main, right? So we haven't used git push origin main. If you simply use git push, then also the changes are pushed to that specific remote repository main branch. So now if I refresh this file, you should be able to see the changes now. If you see, the changes are pushed to that main branch. Currently we are having only single main branch only. So that is the benefit of using -u option or upstream option. Now what I will do is, in our local repository, I will create one new branch. I am just going to create a new branch now. So what I will do, let's go to git bash. Currently we are on which branch? Currently we are on main branch. So how to create a new branch? Which command we have to use to create a new branch? Git branch command we can use. Git branch, let's say I am creating one feature_x branch. So let's create a new branch. I want to check out to that new branch. I am just switching to that feature_x branch. So we have switched now to feature_x branch. If you execute the git branch command, we are currently on which branch? Feature_x branch. Now what I will do, I will add some more changes in feature_x branch. Feature_x branch is already having the inherited changes from main branch. But now I am just adding a new file. So let's create a new file by using touch new file .txt. We have created a new file, that is new file.txt in feature_x branch. I am going to add this file to staging area, and then I am going to commit this file as well. Git commit -m adding new file in feature_x branch. So I have just added a new file in feature_x branch. This file is only added in feature_x branch. Now let's say I want to push these changes. I want to push these changes to remote repository. I want to push these changes to remote repository, but in feature_x branch only. I want to push this entire branch to remote repo. Currently, if you see in remote repository, there is only single branch present here. So what I will do, I want to push this branch to remote repo. So what is the syntax we have used? We have already seen this in our previous session. So we have to use git push origin, and branch name which we want to create in remote repo. Let's say feature_x. So when we execute this command, it will create a new branch, that is feature_x branch. But just pay attention, I am not using -u option yet. Without using -u option, I am executing this command. So let's execute. It will push those changes to remote repo in feature_x branch. If the feature_x branch is not there, it will create a new branch in remote repository as well. So now the changes are pushed to feature_x branch. So now if I refresh this page, let's refresh this page. If you see now, along with main branch, feature_x branch is also present. So what I will do, I will just switch to feature_x branch. New file.txt is present only in feature_x branch. If you go to master branch, main branch, sorry, not master, but we have renamed it as a main branch. Main branch, only abcd.txt is there. In feature_x branch, both the files are present, right? So we have pushed those changes to feature_x branch, but we haven't used upstream option yet. Now what I will do, I am just making some new changes in new file.txt in local repo first. So I am just opening new file.txt. Let's add kiwi. Let's save this file. Then we have to add those changes to staging area first. Then we have to commit those changes as well in feature_x branch. added Kiwi. So these changes I have committed to local branch, local feature X branch. Now I will just try to use only push command, git push, to push the changes to remote repo feature X branch. Then see what happens. When I am using git push command directly, if you see what it is showing you, when we are directly using git push command, it is showing that the current branch feature X has no upstream branch. To push the current branch and set the remote as upstream, we have to use this command. This is again showing us that we should use --set -upstream origin feature X to set the upstream first, and then we can use git push command directly, which will push the changes to feature X branch. So we can either use this command, git push -set -upstream origin feature X, or we can simply use -u as well. So I'm just using setting the upstream now. So I'm just setting the upstream as well. Git push -u origin feature X. So when I execute this command, now the changes will be pushed and upstream is also set now. So now the changes will be pushed in new file.txt of feature X branch. Let's see it now. So Kiwi should be pushed in this file. So let's refresh this file. In new file.txt, Kiwi should be present now. If you see, Kiwi changes pushed to remote repo of feature X branch. And we have also set the upstream now. So now if I again change the file, let's add some pineapple here. Again I am making changes in new file.txt in local repo first. Let's add those changes to staging area as well. Git commit -m, let's say added pineapple in feature X branch. We have committed these changes in local repo. Now I can use only git push. It will automatically recognize that we have to push these changes to feature X branch of remote repo, because we have already set the upstream in previous command. If you see here, we have already set the upstream. So now we don't have to use remote name and branch name every time. So now if you simply use git push, it will push the changes to feature_X branch. It will not give you that error to set the upstream again, because we have already set the upstream for feature X branch as well. So changes are pushed now. If you refresh this file, you should be able to see the new changes in remote repository as well. So this is the main benefit of using git upstream. So what is the use of setting upstream? Convenience. You don't need to repeatedly specify the remote and branch every time. So we don't have to repeatedly specify the remote and branch. Also, it helps Git to keep the track of changes between your local and remote branches. And it is recommended when working with multiple branches in a collaborative environment, because every time typing the remote name, every time typing the branch name would be inconvenient. So once you set the upstream, it is recommended, especially when we are working with multiple branches in collaborative environment. So that's about setting upstream by using -u option. We can use -u, or we can also use --set -upstream as well. Both are the same thing. It is used to set the upstream branch for your local branch. So that means it links our local branch to a remote branch, so that we can easily perform commands like git pull, git push without specifying the remote and branch name every time. Upstream branch is the branch in the remote repo that your local repository will track. And when you run the commands like git pull and git push, Git will automatically know which remote branch to synchronize with. And what is the syntax here is, whenever you are using even Git, whenever you create the GitHub repo At that time also it will automatically show you. We have shown, right? So whenever you create the first time the GitHub repo, it will show you that command. So we just have to use like this. So whenever you are after adding the remote origin, we can simply use git push -u to set the upstream. Then we have to provide the remote name and the branch name. So from next time onwards, whenever you are pushing or pulling the changes, you can simply use git push or git pull only. You don't have to every time specify the remote name and branch name while pushing or pulling the changes into that remote repository branch. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you understood the concept of upstream and -u option in GitHub. So let's meet in our next session for some interesting topic about Git and GitHub. Thanks again.